Hello, hunters, and hold on a minute. I mean, we can still call you hunters, but this isn't Hunter's Hub. This is SideQuest.
Gasp.
All right, Toaster.
Yes.
Or should we say ex-Lobran Toaster?
Yes, I am no longer Lobran. I shall forever be known as Toaster now.
Awesome. So, guys, welcome to SideQuest, Episode 1. What SideQuest is where, think of us as a video game book club. So, every month, we're going to play one game. Obviously, you guys didn't know about Game 1. It's just going to be Toaster and I talking about it. But we're going to have everyone play a game with us, and we're going to talk, a podcast at the end of the third Saturday of every month is when we'll record. Hopefully I can get it edited and out the next Sunday. So this should be going out tomorrow from here. Toaster, I almost said Lobran.
It's going to be a change.
Yeah, but with my new computer and that kind of stuff, I can actually edit within a feasible time now, so I can actually put out episodes faster.
Very nice.
So I'm excited for that. But all that aside, let's get on with what we're doing here. And this first game that we're doing on SideQuest is one Lobran, Toaster picked. That's gonna be hard. Which is Warframe for is it just PC and PS4, or is it on Xbox also?
It is on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. No Nintendo. So sorry, Switch people.
I feel left out all the time. I love my Switch. The poor thing. Anyways, so yeah, we played Warframe. I don't know, Toaster. What made you pick the game?
So I've played Warframe for a significant amount of time. The significant amount being 537 hours now. So
okay.
I was pretty confident in being able to talk about this game. The other thing is, while it's not directly related to Monster Hunter, it's still in the same vein of, it's a relatively simple styled game where you have one task. You go out and in Monster Hunter, you go out and you hunt monsters and you make stuff from their parts. In Warframe, it's you're a ninja, you go flying through spaceships and planet installations, gunning and slicing down two alien faction, well, not necessarily alien factions, but factions that are meaning to cause harm to the universe. There's not a fully complete story. Monster Hunter has always had kind of an iffy story, and Warframe technically has a story that's kind of iffy as well. But it's all about the end game and what you choose and how you choose to go through the game. As well as having quite a bit of customization and kind of freedom to do the game as you feel like. So I kind of felt like it was a great open-ended game to talk about. And also I love the game anyway, and I think everyone should try it because it's free.
True, it is free. Very, very affordable.
Yes. It will look obviously better if you have a great computer, but you can pretty much load this game on a potato as well. So it's pretty good, and it's multi-platform. You can't cross-play with people, so unfortunately, while my 500 hours were on PC, Fortuan was playing on a PS4, so we did not get to play together this time.
Yeah, this was because I had my crappy computer when we started this. So, yeah. I didn't have that choice to begin with. Now I do. Now I do have that choice. This is largely a multiplayer game, I will say. You can play by yourself, which I played both, multiplayer with randos and by myself. But it's we're gonna I'm sorry guys, we're gonna compare to Monster Hunter a lot. This is where Hunter's Hub started as a Monster Hunter show, so our point of reference a lot is Monster Hunter. Which, by the way, I'm almost caught up to you in Monster Hunter World for Warframe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess I'll say that I played. I don't know. I probably played about 30 to 20 hours, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
So I guess we should lead off and say this is going to be full of spoilers, if there is such thing for Warframe.
We can just not talk about the story quests, and then it's fine.
Well, saying in general. I think in general we this
Oh yeah,
discussion-
we probably will talk about stories then. So
Yeah, like just side quest in total is going to be spoilers, so it's just part of the conversation. You know what I mean?
yes.
So I'll just say I got through the first part of Earth. I'll say the first part because half of Earth is locked.
Yes.
Then I got through all of Venus, and then all that I could of Mercury. All of Mercury, all of Venus except for one, which you needed an Arcwing
yes.
to do one quest, which I still haven't got an Arcwing. I did all of those, and I kind of hit a dead end, and I was like, well, what do I do now? And I noticed, like, oh, there's such things as Codex quests. Oh, I have to deal with those. And I guess, since we're kind of doing like a free-form discussion here on it, I think that was the first thing that stood out to me is this game is freaking complicated.
Yes, there is a lot to look up. We kind of made a deal of not to talk too much to each other about it, so that way he got an unbiased
other than
opinion.
I played it today and blah blah blah. Yeah. My
biggest recommendation for anybody playing this game, including you, Fortuan, if you choose to keep playing it, is just look up the wiki. Like similar to old Monster Hunters, the wiki is the knowledge of everything. The game does not hold your hand very much. It's gotten a little bit better. At least you have you experienced the relays. I think they're called not relays. The solar rails, the things that connect the planets. That kind of give you a thing because you're stuck on one planet until you meet some goals of.
Correct. Yeah.
The next relay thing, and then you can move on to the next one. And those goals are generally trying to teach you stuff. Like, I think in the beginning, the goals are stuff like get a bunch of melee kills, get some gun kills, and simple stuff that's pretty generally easy. And then as you go on, they introduce more concepts or things that they've implemented now that you're at that rank, so that way you can learn about the new things.
Right. The one that was like, okay, why do I care about doing this is that you had to combine some of your modifications.
Yes. You don't really combine mods in the full game. And when you're in the late game, you don't combine them ever.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Man, there was so much. So I guess first of all, I guess we'll touch on the story first, which is why I kind of want to talk about possibly spoilers. I didn't get far. I know I didn't get far because I haven't even completely finished 3 planets out of like 24 or something like that you could go to.
Yes, there's all the 9 planets and a bunch of moons. Yeah.
Granted, I will say that kind of makes it cool that there is so many different levels. Right? There is much to do, I would say. And each of those levels, they have their own kind of objective. There's like kill X many enemies, like tower defense on these 5 towers, like infiltrate this thing, pull out a guy, and protect them till they get to the end.
I like the assassinations as missions as well because you can zoom through them really fast.
Yeah, so that... but basically these are pseudo-story missions, small amount of story on each mission. Basically, you're tasked with doing this because X thing needs to happen for our faction to do something, is kind of the deal. Now, I will say the story was kind of light, and I didn't really care about it, but as people get to know me, I don't care a lot about story in general. I don't think that video games always do it that well, or at least engaging enough, because if I'm stuck in too many cutscenes watching things happen my character do that I'm not allowed to do in the game, that kind of turns me off. That didn't happen so much in this one. They're all short. There's a lot of dialogue of really crazy Borg-looking lady talking to me.
a lot of the cutscenes and dialogue take place in universe, so like things are kind of being communicated to you via radio as you're flying through a level.
Right, which I like that. It's not interfering.
To give you the heads up, Fortuan and anybody who's playing it, the story picks up around Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, and then Neptune, Pluto. Like it's the second half of the solar system ish that the story goes from like oh, it's really light, to, oh god, things are happening.
Well, I didn't get that far.
Yeah. So you said you got through Earth, Venus, Mercury, and you had not gotten to Mars.
Right. What was stopping me from getting to Mars was the second half of Earth, I noticed. And on top of that, I didn't really know, like, you had to complete certain quests on the Codex, and I was working on that, but I know that there was some sort of, like, some quest called, like, the Resurrection or something like that, that is a Codex quest that you had to do to progress.
Yes.
And that's where I'm at, because instead of doing that, I did some sort of quest to get a dog that I haven't completed yet.
Yes.
There was a multi-part quest to that. So it's kind of weird. The quest system is sort of like tucked away, and I think that's a problem with this game. Is there's so many different systems that are cool. I mean, there's not really a system I looked at and I was like, this is dumb. Oh, I mean, there is one, but I'll get to that.
Yes.
The fact that the quests are sort of tucked away and they tell you, right? But being the player that I am, I was just sort of like, meh, whatever. Like, I don't care about your codex. That's just like lore files that I don't care about.
Right.
And that's not what it is. That is there, but your biggest use for the codex is assigning quests that will take you to missions. Which I also didn't know that you could flip through different sort of like events and that kind of thing using L1 and R1 on the PlayStation, and I don't know how you do it on PC while you're selecting maps. Didn't figure that out till
at the top right. It's super easy on PC.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, again, it's probably me not paying attention. I'm going to say this right here, but it felt a little obscure. So, like, I didn't even know that menu existed till after I finished my last, Mercury level. Mm. And I was like, what do I do? Like, where do I go now? Again, like, the story up to this point was kind of meh. I really don't like that girl that talks to you all the time.
For everyone else, her name is the Lotus.
The Lotus?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's something about her that she's like, everything is super important kind of thing. And I'm like, I just don't care, lady. I just don't. Like, it just sort of like felt like this mocking parrot on my shoulder while I'm playing. And I really don't like what they call you, Tenno. That's, I don't know. That name, it was like, it made me cringe.
There's a very specific lore reason behind that. That is also, I don't really want to spoil it because it is kind of nice that somebody might actually go out there and play it.
Right.
Do you have any intent on continuing to play this game, first off?
Fortuan? I don't think so.
Okay. So
I don't. I don't know.
I feel like explaining this, and I'll give a quick timing alert for people who don't want to get this spoiled for them. So skip ahead 15 seconds if you don't want to hear why they're called Tenno. All right, 3, 2, 1. The people who the Warframes are basically kids that were on a spaceship that was called the Tennnnnnoooooooooooo, and it underwent a crazy tragedy that gave them superpowers, and so they're called the Tenno.
Okay.
Yep, it's a really stupid reason, and but it makes sense lore wise. There's if you really care about lore, go watch a YouTube video. Somebody has made an excellent YouTube video explaining it like way in depth that I cannot get into in this podcast.
Sure. Well, I mean, we're just kind of going over our thoughts after playing it for a month, basically.
Yes. So I did have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
What did you start off with? Because in the beginning of the game, they let you pick one of 3 Warframes, which, just for everyone heads up, how Warframe works is you have, let's just say, 4 things that you can customize in the game. You have your Warframe that you're using, which is the body you're in. And each body has 4 abilities in the passive. It's similar to choosing a champion in League of Legends or Heroes of the Storm or Overwatch or anything that has a character that has abilities. They're attached to it.
You're picking your abilities and how you look.
You also get a primary weapon, which is usually a shotgun, rifle, bow, sniper, rocket launcher, etc. You get a secondary weapon, which is a pistol generally, but there's many special things you can also have, like throwing knives and crazy stuff. And then you get a melee weapon, which is sword, mace, hammer, gun, sword, other stuff. And so at the beginning of the game, you pick between 3 different Warframes, and then you get a choice of between 2 of each of the other classes. So, which ones did you start off with, Fortuan?
I started off with the blade guy.
Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur.
Okay.
It was fine. I liked his abilities. I didn't know there was such thing as ability 2, 3, and 4.
Oops.
I just used 1. Up until one of there's like a beginning of the mission, you get like, hey, you get bonus experience if you pull off his feet during the mission.
Oh, right.
One of them was use your second ability 3 times. And I was like, or 2 or 1 time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's other abilities? So because I just, for PlayStation, you hold in L1 and then you press X for the first ability. And I think it just goes counterclockwise, circle, triangle, square, I think is how it goes. So
that
counterclockwise for each number going up. So I held in L1. I was like, oh, other prompts come up other than X. I just always pushed X because that's what they tell you to begin with.
Okay.
So I discovered there was other ones. I like them all. I end up using 2 more than anything. And that's the one where he jams his sword in the ground and it just a shockwave goes out around him and it basically kills everything around you.
Yes.
And if it doesn't, they're knocked prone and you can sort of finish them off with your melee attack, which is kind of cool. I liked him a lot. I don't like his design that much.
He's very simple.
Yeah, he looks weird. I'm just going to say it, he looks weird. It's like whatever freaking forehead horn. Like, that's just weird. Granted, I think they all look weird. I was going to say, I did attempt to get a second Warframe.
Oh.
Now, there's a lot of microtransactions in this game, guys.
Yes.
This is a free-to-play. They're going to make money off of nickel and diming you for other things to make your gameplay faster.
Quick interjection. You can technically get everything free. Technically.
Yes. I figured this out, that you can get everything by grinding, essentially. And that's kind of how the game is, just grind to get things. What I wanted to get is the one that uses a mace, the Odo something.
Oberon, yes.
The Oberon. I actually bought the schematic for it. I had one of the pieces, and I was trying to find the other pieces. If I were to keep playing, that would be my goal, is to become that thing. Because I liked how it looked.
He's a pretty easy one to get. Just for your information, you get him by killing those Xmas units, the ones that have the special abilities on them. And his parts just drop randomly off those.
I don't know what an Xmas unit is. I'm going to be honest. I've killed them. They were a goal to get past Venus, I know. I don't know how I did it.
So for everybody in the game, they have... This is kind of a horde shooter game, is how I'd like to classify it. Horde shooter...
Yeah, there's a lot of enemies.
Or Dynasty Warriors if you like melee weapons. Every once in a while, there will be a special enemy that's called an Xmas unit. Usually they'd be called elite or rare mobs. But it's just any unit can be this, and it'll be just a unit with a glow around it. And they have usually some special thing like a frost aura to make you slower around it, or it'll have fire radiating from it or something like that. It's a normal unit with like 1 or 2 special abilities.
Oh, kind of like Diablo.
Yeah. And they're called Xmas units because this is space, so you have to make things sound fancy.
No, that's fine. It's okay to name them something unique. There's not a problem with that at all. But I don't know. I just feel like I never noticed them. But then again, the speed of this game is insane.
Yes, it is.
I didn't even know about the slide jumping for a long time, and it still felt fast.
That's actually something else I was going to ask you about. Is how do you like the movement in this game?
Once I learned the quick movement stuff, I don't know. It's good. I'll say that. But it went against the style I was going for, which was stealth.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that's not how anyone plays, because whenever I was playing with someone else, it was full dash jumping all the way. Like it was slide jumps, melee, like a lot of more melee kills than I was used to.
Yeah, stealth used to be the primary thing, and then like 3 years ago, they released a movement 2.0, which added all the parkour stuff like bullet jumping and sliding and jumping and rolling midair and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So I guess what I started with is the Excalibur. I started with the bow.
Okay.
And I stuck with the bow, and I never upgraded from the Mark III or whatever that thing's called.
The Mark 1.
Mark 1. I know that eventually I could have. I think I got to level chassis or whatever they call it, level 15, I think, when I ended.
Oh, so everybody knows all your weapons and frames all upgrade individually from each other with experience.
Right. So I started with a bow, I did throwing knives, and I had a sword.
Oh man, you went the full medieval route.
I did, but I enjoyed it. I don't like the throwing knives that much, but I mean, are you really ever going to like your sidearm that much? So
some of them do get really powerful. The issue is they start you off with at least for your primary and secondary, they start you off with the Mark 1 version of it, which is like a newbie
the
weak
weakest
weapon.
one. Yeah.
Which you can go buy generally the blueprint for the normal non-Mark version from the store for credits.
But not a lot of this stuff is very intuitive of how to get to it or explained.
Right.
So I never dealt with it. I saw it in the menu once, and I totally forgot about it since. I didn't play this game too diligently because I was not really enjoying it that much. And I think so. It started out I was playing entirely solo. Then I got to some tower defense map that I absolutely could not do solo. It was like, there's no way to do this by myself. So I invited more people in, and that got better. But I don't know. It feels to me like I would enjoy this game tenfold more if I knew who I was playing with.
It is much more fun when you are with people you know, or at least people who can share a voice chat with you.
Right. Yeah, because I was just not enjoying myself. Now, I will say this, Toaster. I may play with you on PC with the new PC.
Ooh.
If you can convince me during this episode, I might do it.
So I will try to convince you, and that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask, is do you think you would like it better on PC?
I think probably because you're there. I don't like playing on PC too much because it is in my very cold basement.
So there is an issue with Warframe I'm going to address. There are a lot of menus, and notoriously, menus suck with the controller. Unless it's been specifically, rigorously designed to work with a controller, menus generally aren't good on controllers, and Warframe's got lots of buttons to push.
True.
One thing that I did want to ask you about was the customization. Not only looks and normal customization. So for everybody out there, you can customize your weapons. You put mods on them to increase their damage or add elements or reload speed, fire speed, swings, anything. Like, just imagine a normal RPG weapon and any of those stats you can change, like crit and stuff like that. Generally, if you want modding advice, put damage on something, because damage kills things. That's from a professional standpoint. Damage kills things.
Now, I will say there was something cool about that. So there's mods that give you like X% amount of cold damage or fire damage or that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
And I was like, I was at a point where, and I'm still at this point where basically I'm just trying to fill it out. I'm not really doing a lot of build stuff. I get the mod and I'm like, does this fit? Is it useful? And that's sort of like my criteria. I don't really have any sort of strategy when putting mods in, right? And mods, basically, the system is the mods cost points. As you level up, you get more points to allocate in the same weapon or chassis or whatever you're doing. But one thing I really noticed that I liked is I had a 15% cold and a 15% electricity. I know that was all I had for, I want to say...
A while, probably.
No.
Oh, really?
I want to say it was for my throwing knives. It could be my bow. I know it's my bow. And ice plus electricity turns into magnetism.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, so there's elemental mixing in this, which got me intrigued because I like stuff like that. If anyone has ever played Magicka, that game's amazing. I know we're talking about Warframe here, but you basically mix spells. You like mix fire and rock. You make lava. Think like that kind of, or a flaming boulder that you shoot out. This is kind of what it reminded me of. Magnetism was cool with a bow. Now, let me tell you why. Because I got a lot of headshots with that bow. With magnetism. I don't know how it works exactly, but I felt like that was what it was doing. It was sort of drawing the bullets to the center.
So, everything has elemental weaknesses and resistances in that game. And everything there's two stats that are very specific to Warframe. There's crit chance that everybody knows about, and there's status chance. And it does not work like, oh, well, you have a 15% chance to do the elemental effect. How status chance works is you're always doing whatever damage listed, but every element and even the ones that are built in, like if you don't mod a weapon, generally it has piercing, slashing, and impact damage.
Right.
What status chance is like if you have a 50% status chance, it has a 50% chance to inflict a status effect from your weapon. That being one of the elements that's on your weapon. Obviously, the ones that have more damage are going to have a higher chance of rolling. What Magnetics does is it does extra damage to shields, as well as, I think, drain some of its shield off, as like extra shield off, like removing it. So what it might have been doing for you is also just helping you just pierce all that shield. Because in the beginning of the game, you fight a lot of Corpus, which use a ton of shields.
Yes. Those are the guys with the weird buckets on their heads, right?
Yes. So for everybody's knowledge, there's two factions in this game. Corpus, which are all about money and robots. And then there's Grineer, which are... they're the military side, and they use a lot of cloning. And as a result of way too much cloning, all the clones are kind of degraded and kind of stupid. But they have buckets of armor.
Yeah, they're weird looking. You ever see The Fifth Element?
Yes, I love it.
They look like the big old slow guys in The Fifth Element. With those tiny heads.
I can see it.
Now, granted, they're a little different, but that sort of like body structure, except they're faster. It's so weird. I was like, wow, this is... They were easy to headshot, too. Really easy.
Oh, yeah. So the big thing about mixing elements is there's 4 elements, as you probably saw, and you can mix all 4 of them. You can only mix 2 at a time, so if you put like fire, ice, and viral, or not viral, but toxic, the first 2 will combine, and then you'll be left with the combination and toxic. But if you put fire, ice, toxic, and lightning, the first 2 will combine, and then 3 and 4 will combine. So you have a very wide variety of statuses that you can put on your weapon.
Nice.
So that's part of why I think you'd probably like to keep playing if you wanted to.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if I can play with you on PC. I mean, this is the big caveat here. I think this is playing with someone else is what's going to do it for me. I don't think this game is bad by any sense. Maybe aside from, and I'll just get to it here. So the whole Oberon thing that I wanted to make, I realized like it's going to be so much grinding because A, I don't know where to find this stuff, and B, it's grinding for these 3 pieces, which I assume are not going to be easy. But if I just pay X amount of dollars and I spend whatever this currency is, that is the paid currency, I can get this. And that was true for everything. And I was like, this is one of those games that is just going to shortcut you if you buy it.
So I do want to point something out with this. The main draw of Warframe, I think, and this is not gonna be true for everybody. Some people just want to play for the story, which is beyond me. But
yeah.
So Monster Hunter, you want to hunt it. You want to play Monster Hunter because you want to fight monsters, make cool weapons, cool armor to fight bigger monsters, and cool weapons and cool armor. The draw of Warframe is there are a lot of guns and a lot of weapons and a lot of frames, and you just want to get as many as possible. Be able to beat the levels quickly, do the high level stuff really fast, do as much damage as you can. So if you like numbers, it's a pretty fun game.
Traditionally, I'm not a numbers guy.
I have bought some weapons because I wanted to support the company because it's free and they do a lot. They release every update. They put a dev stream out that shows updates that are coming out, and they talk to their community quite a bit. So I wanted to give them support. I will say buying things does not have nearly the same satisfaction because I bought a couple of things before and then I was like,
yeah, it feels unearned. It's not as attractive.
So, what did you like about the customization or the elements? Did you like the anything else about it, or did you just kind of pass?
I like that I made myself the sprite Excalibur. I was green and blue and yellow.
Oh yeah, so
I looked like a Sprite can, and it was so funny to me. Like I just loved it. It was the color customization is really in depth, right?
Yeah.
That's something that again, I'm sorry, folks. We're going to reference Monster Hunter a lot. That's my favorite game series. Toaster is it? I don't know if it's ever really been said if it's yours or not.
It's up there. It's in the top 5.
So, Monster Hunter is a big influence as to who I am as a gamer. So I'm gonna, talk about that a lot. But Monster Hunter fails on this sort of aesthetic customization a lot. But then again, it's not that you can't look cool. It's just that you can't customize your colors as in depth as this game. This is like you're going into a pro paint shop and like getting like the top of the line like decals on your car versus factory issue red, blue, and green. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're getting like you can get into the nitty gritty. I really went into the details on what I was colorized like.
So expand,
and I did it across all my weapons. They all have the same theme. So Sprite.
So everybody knows now. There's a lot of customization in Warframe. Every single item in the game you can customize 5 colors on. There's 5 slots. There's primary, secondary, tertiary, accent, and energy color.
Yes.
Which is a cool thing, I think. So your spells and abilities have colors, obviously, right? Like there's a frame called Ember, and she uses fire. If you change your energy color to something else, it changes the fire color. So,
nice.
Example, I have you can buy color packs, which I think you have access default to like 20 colors ish.
Yeah.
Times that by 5 because you can unlock the rest of that color palette, and you get like 100 colors. That's a pretty good amount of colors, and that's one color pack out of like 20 you can buy. So there are a lot of colors available to you, and each of those colors can go on each of those 5 sets. So, example, I had an Ember that used hot pink fire because I felt like burning my allies' eyes out. And then a lot of the items, because you can customize the inside of your ship, the outside of your ship, your frame, your weapons, and then some of those even have further customization options, like the Warframe. Fortuan can color all 5 of his things. There's also alternate helmets and capes and bits of armor you can put on. And each of those can also be colored separately. So,
nice. I would like a cape. Although The Incredibles says you shouldn't want a cape.
There are 40 capes in the game-ish. Downside, you do have to pay real money for capes. Those you can't get for free. Unless you trade, which trading is a big thing in this game. Unlike Monster Hunter, where you can trade like maybe potions.
Yeah, you can basically give someone something that they just didn't care to collect themselves.
Yeah. But in Warframe, a lot of things can be traded. You can't just directly trade weapons, but you can trade modifications, which is the biggest thing because this is a free-to-play game. Things have small drop rates sometimes.
Gotcha.
So if you want, and what a lot of people do is they play the game free-to-play, but they still get all the stuff because they'll just go farming for a mod. And they go in trade chat and say, hey, give me a bunch of this premium currency and I'll give it to you. So they can still go out and buy the premium currency only things.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm glad to hear you like the customization.
I do. I think it was a little much to begin with. Like the weapon mods and that kind of stuff, I completely ignored that the first couple hours because I was like, I don't care. Like this is just let me figure out the controls first. Like it was kind of like that thing. I will say, bar none, I am never switching off of that bow.
Really?
Like I don't care who says what. I don't care if the sniper rifle will kill 70 things in a room in one shot. I don't care. Like the bow, the fact that it was stealthy, and the fact that it would pierce things and pin them to the ceilings and walls is hilarious.
Yeah. Luckily for you, there are a lot of bows in the game. I think there's like 13.
You're kind of convincing me if there's better bows because I stayed with the lowest level bow. It was insanely funny, the stuff that you could do with this bow. Like I was pinning people to the floor and they were like they were doing that thing where the model in the game isn't supposed to be there, so it just sort of jerks around until it finds the right position, but it never finds it. So it's just there like seizuring forever, and just seeing another guy stand there and look at it like,
Yeah, enemies.
I guess Joey's just dead now. Seizure, I guess.
Enemies don't like to get jammed into physics.
Yeah.
And stealth in that game is fun.
Oh man, dude, the stealth, which is like for me, it was just press circle, right, which is your melee button.
Oh yeah, sneak up behind somebody.
And dude, I would just ram the sword through people. It was so funny looking because it would go through them, and it was like, oh wow. And I love the stealth in this game. Unfortunately, I played with no one that liked stealth.
Nope.
Like, like they were all just like, let's slide dash everywhere. And by slide dash, you can run. And you crouch, you slide, and if you jump out of that, you do a sort of like spinning jump. It's super fast. People chain it together and just fly through levels.
So for people who have ever played Half-Life or shooters, it's the opposite of a crouch jump. Instead of pressing jump then crouch to do like get into small places, you tap crouch just for like half a second, so you start sliding, and then jump and you rocket yourself forward or up or down.
Yeah, this is actually kind of similar to the movement system in Titanfall 2.
Really?
Yeah, Titanfall, you do a lot of... the movement system is specifically made for you to keep moving, and if you're on walls and boost jumping and sliding and that kind of stuff, you keep your momentum. So it's momentum movement. Tribes... Ascend or something like that did this also.
Yes, I love the sliding in Tribes.
Yeah, it was called skating is what they called it. So this is kind of similar to that movement system. It's not as robust as Titanfall or skating in Tribes. I will say it is. It feels a little more linear, or at least that's how I experienced it. But I didn't like doing it so much because I liked being stealthy. Now I would do it in like dead sections, right? There's no enemies or that kind of thing. But
so to give you a fun thing, since you like stealth, there are 3 or 4 frames in the game that have actual invisibility as well. One of those specializes in using bows.
Oh, I might want to get that frame instead. What is the Odogaron? The Odogaron one. Here, let's just start mispronunciations of monster.
Of course.
Here. Yeah. Anyways, the Oberon. How I know this is kind of weird, just like me asking questions, and we're supposed to be sort of pseudo talking about our thoughts on this thing, but like, is that thing going to be good at stealth or bows?
I'm going to say no. Oberon is basically a paladin druid.
Yeah, I kind of like the paladin aesthetic though. I like the sword and board with a mace.
Also,
like
there are sword and shields actually, or mace and shields in the game for a melee weapon.
Nice.
So, for those who actually fun trivia fact about Oberon, he's actually named after the King of Fairies in like real life lore.
There's fairies in real life?
Of course.
So, one thing that I had, one thing I will say that I hated, and I absolutely hated, I considered putting down the game, and this was like 2 weeks in. There was a mission, and I do believe it bugged out on me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to this was the only mission I failed, essentially. I had to redo it because it was just not working.
Which mission
Well,
is this?
that's not true. I failed the first tower one because I needed other people.
Oh, yeah.
But the mining ones...
Extraction.
The extraction ones, those suck.
They suck solo. If you have multiple people, they're great.
Okay, I was solo, and like I ran out. I straight up ran out of the dudes that dropped. Like they did. Basically, you're protecting this drill, but it has limited battery power, so you have to kill these really big, stupid-looking Frankenstein enemies in the map I was in, and they're harder to kill than everything else. I felt like invincible because like no one would hardly ever even try to kill me. I was dodging around enough that I wasn't getting hit a lot, but they took a long time to kill. They took like 4 or 5 headshots with my bow, so it was like a slog. And they drop a battery pack that puts in like 15% or 30%. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it's 20% of the thing.
And it was like. It was a slog, and then I ran out of battery packs. The guys wouldn't spawn anymore, and I was just like, okay. So every single one I called down would never finish because I get no more battery packs. Enemies stopped spawning, in general. I was just stuck.
I haven't seen where enemies completely stop spawning. I have had them so like I had like a really time where I was just sitting around, and generally that's fixed by just going somewhere else on the map, like go all the way across the map, and eventually they'll show back up. Don't know why you have to do that, but it does happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It was the only thing that really just peeved me off about the game. Microtransactions is something that always kind of turns me off. So when I saw that, like, I basically can buy all this, I was like, like how much more am I gonna be envious of other people when it calms me down a bit to say that you can just grind for it all. So I was like, okay, this person just grinded for this.
Yeah, it eventually gets back. And there will be some things where you just like you see somebody have it and you're just like, I want it. Like the first time you see somebody with like a really nice, cool paint scheme and a badass cape, but you're just gonna be like, I need it.
I do love playing dress up in my video games. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm putting this down there for you and also for the people in the audience. There's a really cool YouTuber out there that's called Porfy, and they make music videos where they show off their Warframe customizations, and there are some pretty things they've made. I'll share it with you after the cast, but
okay.
Or I'll even put it on a social media account that people can see that's represented by a bird.
No one can see it, but I'm doing an eyebrow thing. Just for history, we have another show that's specifically a weekly Monster Hunter podcast, Undersub. This is Undersub SideQuest, so you probably know about it. Anyways, we've been trying to get Toaster here to get a Twitter account or something so we can at him or get a hold of him at the end of every episode. It just hasn't happened yet till now.
Yes.
30 episodes in.
30 episodes later. And I have a Twitter account. Gasp.
Yeah.
So, I did have a couple more questions for you if we want to rapid fire out some questions.
Cool. I'm kind of spent. I don't have a lot of really questions for it. I kind of understand what the game is, at least to me.
So, part of this is me trying to get you onto playing it with me on PC. First, would you prefer using a mouse and keyboard over twin sticking for shooting people?
Hands down, no. I am a twin stick shooter.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
It doesn't matter. I started on PC. I still play Doom with mouse and keyboard, but and I played Lost Planet 1, mouse and keyboard, and what was the other one? Some zombie game, Left 4 Dead. Okay. I played Left 4 Dead both on Xbox and keyboard, and I prefer a gamepad, and that's just because I grew up playing stuff like Halo. That kind of stuff.
I believe on PC you still can use a controller.
I don't have a controller for the PC, so it's going to be mouse and keyboard if I play.
Okay. Second off, did you have any like specifically designed things that you really enjoyed about the game? Like, oh, I like how they did this. I like how they did this. Or even like, I think the Warframe looks pretty.
I mean, I was raving about it. The bow. I love bows in games. Bows are like my go-to weapons in a lot of things. And if someone has a tomahawk, oh come on! I love Black Ops for tomahawks. It comes from a little bit of my heritage. I can tomahawk throw actually really well in real life.
Really? Okay.
Little known fact about me. I don't do it very often because throwing axes in the middle of a city in Ohio is not really a good idea. But so basically, I just enjoy that sort of bow and arrow and tomahawk aesthetic. So I loved that about this. It's kind of why I also chose the throwing knives, because it's about the closest thing I'm going to get.
I think there's a couple like more weapons, but there's not that many, unfortunately. In terms of like throwing weapons. One thing to know about the bows in this game is they actually have travel time and fall off.
Yes, they do.
So it is actually kind of important to do that. And also, unlike a lot of games, bows take a second to draw back. You can't just click the button and go. You have to pull it back and wait.
But it's worth it.
Yeah. They do a good amount of damage, and that you can pin people to walls with them, which is great.
Yes.
You were unfortunately playing with the MK1 Paris, which is a great bow.
Yes, I was.
For a beginning thing. But there are more weapons. Because I think the Paris is focused on puncture, I think.
Yes, it definitely is, because I would kill 3 and 4 people. The ones where you have to protect something and waves come at you, I loved those levels. I'm not going to lie. Because they would come down a corridor, and I would shoot down that corridor, and you would see like 7 like critical numbers come up, and 7 guys pinned to 1 arrow. It was so funny.
And there's another bow that you might like more. It's a little harder to get because it. So there's a couple. This is one of those mechanics you didn't get to experience. When you kill bosses in the game, you'll occasionally get a message from this really weird dark Warframe looking guy that says you're going to pay, or you will, you'll regret this action.
Oh yeah, that happened the first time I killed the first boss guy that was in the first story.
So that's good. When that happens, you get a mark on you, and you can see it on your profile and stuff like that. And this happens whenever you kill bosses. Like you start to build up as a meter. It's an invisible meter, but he will eventually come after you. And it doesn't say like, oh, go on a stalker mission. He can show up in any mission. So you can be out defending, and suddenly the lights will start flickering, the lights will turn off, and you'll get a personalized message broadcast straight into your headset that says, I'm coming now. And he shows up and fights you. And he's very strong. And you can beat him. You may not the first time, but you can beat him, and he'll drop, some gear or something like that, or a blueprint. You can get his weapons, one of which is a bow called Dread that does primarily slashing damage. And if you headshot somebody with Dread, it will just take their head clean off.
That's cool. I'd rather pin things, but that's cool.
Yeah, you can also pin things, but...
Oh, it does both? I'm in.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's grind out Dread tonight. Let's do it.
This, by the way, pointing this out for other people, this game has a very big kind of, I don't want to say gore system, but if you hit somebody's arm, it takes them off. If you slash somebody with a sword, you will cut them in half. If you headshot somebody, their head flies off, legs. If you hit them with a grenade from a grenade launcher, they're gone. It's very detailed.
Now, I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's not like gruesome.
As far as gore goes. But it's not gruesome. They do get cut in half. Little disclosure, I played this more so on the weekends.
Really?
When the kids were up. So they were there doing their own thing, and they would look up sometimes. I don't think it was violent enough for me to really worry about the kids seeing it.
Yeah.
Granted, so the audience know I have a 3 and a 1-year-old. It's violent, but it's not over the top or anything. I don't know. It felt cartoony enough that it wasn't scarring them.
Yeah. Oh, but it does help, by the way. With the exception of bosses, enemies don't speak English. They don't speak English at all. They speak kind of a garbled up kind of when they're shouting at you. And
Orcish.
Yeah. the most thing you'll hear is like Tenno, and they're like, oh, they're talking about me. Whoops.
Yeah, I hate that name. I hate that name, Tenno.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I know it just sounds bad. I know that's just a me thing, but yeah, I don't. Maybe it's the no in it, and my brain is like no.
Well, you'll like one of the voices or one of the character voices, because all the bosses are specially voiced, and one pronounces the Tenno name very specifically, like Tenno. It's like, oh my god.
Very accented.
So
yeah,
there is a couple bosses that are great, because it's one of those games where like you'll hear bosses enough because you can go back and kill them multiple times for getting more parts.
And they show up in multiple missions.
Yes. Throughout the entirety of Uranus, there is one boss who talks to you in every mission until you get to go kill him. But
okay.
There's a couple that are very popular. One specifically is called Vahek. He has a gun named after him, by the way, the Heck, which is a shotgun and one of the greatest guns in all of space. And he is the hammiest, loudest character in any game I've played, and I love him. One of his favorite lines that he says is, why are these Tenno maggots breathing my air?
It sounds like something my brother would say.
But it's one of those games of, like, if you enjoy, like, gunning things down and grinding, and even if I'm going to be honest, I have played where I just wanted to get something, and I was kind of disinterested in the game because I've been grinding for a while. I had two monitors, so I have Netflix up on one, and the other I was just burning through a mission really, really fast. So, it's pretty fun, but I will admit that grind can get boring. While you were playing, did you have a chance to make anything, to forge anything?
They make you forge some sort of thing that takes off your
the latch.
Your what house arrest ankle bracelet.
Oh yeah, so how the game opens up is you wake up, and Space Mom tells you wake up. It tells you how to defend yourself.
Space Mom.
And while you're fleeing, someone put a little ankle tracker thing on you that it does look like the house arrest bracelet, actually. And so for the first couple of planets, you're just trying to take the stupid thing off.
Yep. Cool. Well, I think.
Oh.
I think I probably do you have more questions, or I think we can probably wrap it up.
Oh, something else I was going to tell you is about making things takes time. It's kind of like I don't want to say mobile games, but it's kind of like mobile games. Crafting a Warframe is the longest time. Making any weapon takes 24 hours.
Oh yeah. You actually, it's not finding the parts he's talking about. There is an actual I have now the parts. I have crafted it. Come back. 24 hours later, it will be in your inventory.
Yeah,
it's actual wait times. Why would they do that? I don't understand that.
It is part of the free-to-play element, so you're encouraged to come back every day and play. They also have daily login rewards that give you more stuff. So
I missed quite a few of those.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Luckily, it's not like you don't have to log in concurrently. It's not like you have to. I hate mobile games that do this, where if you log in 10 days in a row, you get this, but if you miss one day, you have to start all over. No, they don't do that. It's just concurrent days.
Gotcha.
But then Warframes are worse, though. It's they have 3 parts. You have to make each part: a helmet, a chest, and systems blueprints.
Wait! You have to make those parts?
Yep. And each of those takes 24 hours. You can make them multiple at the same time. Luckily, that they didn't do that. There's no limit to how many things you can have baking. And then once you get all 3 of them, you have to put all 3 in the oven together, and the Warframe takes 3 days.
So 4 days, essentially.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. That is the one downside I really hate. Obviously, if you're loaded with money, you can pay to skip it, but I think
I think that's the biggest, for me, that's the biggest downside to this is the complexity that sort of I feel like the complexity isn't really conducive to how the game is. I think the game is good. I think the complexity gets in its way, and I think the complexity also drives you to say if I just spent money, this would be so much simpler.
Yeah, if you are prone to spending a lot of money, just kind of, my advice would be to always like walk away doing a couple missions or something and really consider it before spending money on it. And if you are going to spend money, buy something permanent. Don't buy weapons, don't buy frames, and don't pay to speed things up. Buy stuff like capes or weapon slots, because you're limited as to how many weapons you can have total.
Right.
Same thing with Warframe slots. Buy stuff like that where you can't really make it unless you for free, unless you're trading with people. So spend your and colors. So spend your money on like customization stuff. Don't buy weapons, because you may do what I did, where I bought a weapon because I was like, oh, this is a great one. Everybody talks about it. It's cool. And I leveled up and find out I hate this gun. It is because it doesn't matter how good a gun is. There are going to be people who say use XYZ weapon. It happens in Monster Hunter where they're like, oh yeah, technically the charge blade is the most powerful weapon. You can get the fastest kill times. It doesn't
but then
matter.
You're a person that doesn't care about kill times.
And you could just hate how the weapon feels too.
Yeah.
Like for your information, there is a gun in the game called the Tigress. It is a 2-barrel shotgun. When you click down, it fires one shot, and when you release the trigger, it fires the second shot. It does.
This sounds interesting.
It's a pretty fun gun. I like it, kind of. It does a lot of damage. But if you don't like that 2-shot reload pattern, you will hate this gun.
I mean, I play a lot of Doom.
They also have flamethrowers and rocket launchers and rail guns and all sorts of stuff. So there's enough weapons, you'll find something you like.
Yeah.
We are getting close to it, an hour. I did have one last question.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a 2-part. First, what would you improve in this game? Like, what is something coming from outside of Warframe? What would you like to see added, or what if it's already in there? I can let you know if it's already in the game. But what would you like to see added into Warframe, coming from an outside perspective?
I would like to see sort of like if you were to click on an item and it would tell you where to get it.
Yeah, having that in the game would be nice.
That's kind of where. That's the only thing I can really think of. Unfortunately, I don't think I've been in enough of the game to really give any useful of an answer aside from that. Because like the Oberon frame that I was like, that looks cool. I want to try that out. I was like, oh, I had to find this stuff. Okay, where do I find it? I guess I'll just keep playing until I find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
Having something like calling back to Monster Hunter, having something be like the research journal that tells you where things drop, I think would be very helpful for Warframe.
Okay.
Last question then: would you recommend this to other people? Would you recommend it to our listeners?
Tentatively, yes. And I'll say this, or you could say tentatively. Anyways, hey, I'm a dad. Puns are necessary. The caveat is that if you want something to just sort of like grind out and play, I don't think you're gonna get a deep experience that you don't. It's weird. Hayward had to explain. It's like Diablo 3. I love Diablo 3, but there's a point in which you know everything and you're kind of coasting in the deep. You know what I mean? It's a deep experience, but you're sort of coasting through it anyways. Because you've learned everything, you don't have to do a lot of mental gymnastics. If you're kind of looking for that easygoing sort of routine game, I think this is a good one to go with.
Okay. I personally would recommend it. Somebody told me this. If you want a free-to-play Diablo shooter, Warframe will work for you. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of systems to work with. Everything is there if you look at the wiki. But if you want a really, really simple shooter and don't want to customize everything, because there is a lot of customization, it may not be the game for you.
Gotcha.
Okay. Other than that, that's all I had. I'm glad we enjoyed this game. Or at least I'm glad you did find out something that you liked about it. And
yeah, I think I'll give it another shot on PC.
Yeah,
I think I will.
And plus side, if you're on PC, I can help you blast through some of the earlier stuff a lot faster.
Yep. Cool. So that's Warframe, guys. So that at this point, we're going to tell you about our next game. So as of the next recording, which we'll be doing, I don't have a calendar in front of me. Yes, I do. The third Saturday of every month is when we're going to be recording this stuff. So we're going to be talking about this. Oh, let's see. It's May. Then let's see, June. I know this is great audio, right? Third Saturday would be the 16th of June. 16th of June is going to be where we talk about EVO: The Search for Eden. This is a game that I recommended to Toaster here. It is a Super Nintendo game. It is actually one of the rarest Super Nintendo games, so you're going to have to find other means, as I'll leave it at that, to play this game. Sort of a high level, this is a RPG, sort of side-scroller, that focuses on the journey of life through evolution. You are a being that must evolve to survive. And you evolve by defeating enemies and eating them. So you're a carnivore. Okay. But you basically eat things, you get points, you evolve things, and there is a story to this. It is one of the few story games that I really enjoy.
Really?
I'm not going to say the story is the best ever, but it is an interesting slice into the craziness that is Japan, and a educational game about evolution and the history of creatures on Earth. So if you're interested in doing this, it's not a very popular game. It sold very poorly, which made it very rare, which is why now it's a $200 out-of-box cartridge for SNES collectors.
Oof.
So, but I personally like it. I played it a lot. I don't play it near as much as some other games, but it sort of represents those sort of like, for me, it's an important game because it represents those sort of early Super Nintendo days where it was just me sort of by myself in a room playing, because I lived out in the country and it was basically me, my brother, and my cousins, and when everyone was busy and it was just me playing games. So it's one of those games I sort of like picked it up off the shelf. Most people don't like how it looks or that kind of thing. It's when you're buying games based on their box art. And it was just sort of this weird game that I sort of fell in love with back then. It's got some weird, amazing quirks. It's got a crazy story. Crazy. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's crazy.
Okay.
So
I can't wait to check it out.
So, yeah. All right, folks. That'll wrap us up. This is going to be kind of weird, but at Hunter Tub Pod is where you can find me, Fortuan. Yeah, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of the show. Hi, this is Fortuan. But
hi, nice to meet you.
So you can find me there. And where are we going to find you, Toaster?
You can find me shooting people in space, maybe evolving later on. And also, you can find me on Twitter at Toasty Smiles. And that's Toasty Smiles. I should be starting to use this more, posting things, hopefully things that people will like. We'll see. And
okay.
So you'll be seeing me around the social media land much more often.
And we'll just say thank you for joining us on the SideQuest.
Hey.
Maybe a little rough, but we can make it work.
The other thing I was thinking was, like, after you say it, I could do the quest complete and we could do the... It's up to you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.